Afternoon, how are you doing? Rain. It has not stopped raining for days and days and days. I've been trying to get on the lawn and do stuff. And it's so much harder, isn't it, this time of the year? So, this is where we're at. We've got a puppy, as well as Betsy. We've got a new puppy called Tilly. And she's a little cutie, but she's also a little monkey as well. She's been escaping, going into next door's garden, and their garden's open onto the road, so we've been trying to block off access to next door's. She's been going on the lawn, just tearing it up, so I put this temporary fence up. Now, the other thing is, I want to do some overseeding. Now, this will creep. This particular grass that we've got, it will creep eventually and fill in all different areas, but it's going to take some time to get to the creeping stage. It's going to take at least sort of 12 months really, and we've come to that time of year where we're going into winter and it's starting to thin in the shaded areas, and it's just starting to get on my nerves a bit. So I brought some grass. Okay, we've got this little area here which always suffers, and this top end generally always thins out because it's just in shade all the time. So this top end, I would like to get it nice and thick, which is what we all want, isn't it? So basically I'm left with a few choices. I just sit and wait for it to start creeping, which is going to be at some point next year, or I get some different seeds on. Now, I bought a bag of seed. It's just a fescue seed, which is probably one of the better seeds for shaded areas. And yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut this short, get it scalped nice and short, and then we're going to chuck some seed on, and we're going to put a bit of compost on the top. I'm not even going to scarify, I'm not even going to aerate, because the ground's really quite wet at the minute and the seeds are just going to stick to the soil. Get the compost on, and I may or may not put the fleece on. I'm not sure, I haven't decided yet. We'll see how it goes towards the end of the day. I've got some more pegs to put in to stop the dogs from getting in. If I can keep them off, I think we'll be all right without the fleece. So it's time to get started. So the first thing, trim, mow, I'm going to scalp it, and then I'm going to chuck some seed on, do what we need to do. Right, so I'm just putting a bit of autumn fertiliser on setting number 2, just to provide a little bit of nutrition and to help the roots and the health of the plant as we proceed. It actually looks pretty good. Yeah, it's lost a bit of colour, but that is typical for the time of the year. I haven't put any nutrition on for a few weeks. And most of it, if left, will come through just fine and come nice again next year. But I'm trying to achieve a nice thick lawn all year round. So it is going to creep at some point next year and fill in on its own, which is what I wanted. But I want to see if we can get a bit thicker over this winter. And I'm going to put some fescue seed down. Just look for any seed which says shade, and you'll find it's got a blend of fescues in there. Creeping fescues, chewing fescues, creeping red fescues, things like that. So a bit of autumn fertiliser. Just going to walk up and down, turn the handle while we're pressing the trigger, and we've got a nice even coverage. And then we're going to pop a bit of seed on, and we'll see how we progress from there. Okay, I'm going to use this Scotch drop spreader this time, so we don't get any in the borders. Depending on the seed type, it can be a bit slower, but At least it's not going to go in the borders. Oh, we don't need that. Actually, we do for the top. This is just bought off Amazon from Lawn UK. It's a shaded seed. Now, you could just fill in the patches, and there's only a couple of patches, but this will have a different appearance to the rest of the lawn. And I'm using the fescue because it's better suited to shade. This is mainly a ryegrass, dwarf rye, I can't remember, something like that. And it doesn't produce a lot of thatch. But once it starts creeping, then it'll need scarifying from time to time. But it's going to take time to creep. So this stuff is hopefully going to do better in the shade, and we're going to have some denseness over the next few months. So what I need to do is overseed all of it, but I'll go really heavy up at the top and I'll just gently overseed the rest so it kind of all blends in. Now you can measure seed and put down what they recommend. I've never in my life done that. I just make sure we've got a good coverage and none of the seeds are touching. A decent coverage, you might expect to see approximate gaps, say 2mm to 5mm between each grass seed, because each seed will become a plant. So I don't worry too much. It's never been a major problem, and it's always worked for me. So I've got this open on the maximum setting. On here, you turn the handle, you've got numbers which increase, turn it until the maximum, walk up and down. I usually find I have to walk up and down twice if I'm overseeding the whole thing properly, if I've scarified. Now normally I would scarify and I would aerate to get decent seed to soil coverage, but there's no thatch whatsoever. The soil that you can see is there, so the seed is going to touch the soil straight away. So I'm quite happy this is going to germinate pretty well. So we're just going to go up and down once with this, and we'll just hand seed the worst bits up there which are nice and thin, and we'll take it from there. So I'm just getting my wheel right on the edge. And we just walk up. So I just squeeze the trigger here and push. Now the coverage, it's a decent coverage, but it's not perfect. That's why I usually have to go over a couple of times on this high setting. But what I'm going to do, it's only these couple of patches. I'll try not to get it in the borders. Remove the stones. And that's it. You can keep your finger on them and go backwards and forwards. That works quite well. But usually 2 times is about right. Sometimes you have to go 3, depending on the seed. So when you're seeding your lawn, when you're putting seed on your lawn, you could just leave it like that. As long as seed is touching soil, some of it is going to germinate and you'll get some success. You've got to keep it wet though for as much as you can for the next 2 to 3 weeks, something like that, maybe 4 weeks, depending on the temperatures and how fast things are growing. So if you want to take it a bit further and increase the chances of germination, there are more things you can do. you could prep better with scarifying and aerating. This doesn't need any because it's already really thin and the soil's not hard and compacted or anything like that. It's pretty fresh soil and it's in pretty good condition. So that's why I've just chucked seed on. You can cover the seeds. So if you cover the seeds, it stops the wind and rain from moving them around, blowing them around, washing them in heavy rain, although we are forecast some heavy rain later on. And it helps to stop the birds from taking some as well. Now, all I'm going to do is put a bit of compost on, but you can use topsoil. Topsoil is probably the cheapest option and works really well. I like to put compost on because you're getting some organic goodness in there, which does a lot of good. Now, I have used over the years all of the brands like B&Q, Verve, which is in the purple bags, and it's not bad. Any of these branded ones, like from B&Q and Wix, they're going to have a bit of stuff in there, small twigs, bits of slightly not quite fully composed stuff, and those bits are on your lawn. Now, it's never really massively bothered me over the years, but I was looking for something a bit finer and I ended up finding another one which I use a lot more now. You can find out more. I'll leave a link to the stuff that I use in the description, but basically it's very fine. Now, you can get fine yourself if you've got a little garden sift or sieve and just put your compost through it and it will sieve out all the good stuff below, and then you've got decent quality compost. And all you do, you put it in piles across your lawn. Use your brush or a back of a rake or a lute just to work it around and work it in and work it down. Instead of piles, I'm going to use this compost spreader and just going to push it up and down the lawn and it will deposit compost across the lawn. So I'm going to crack on with this. We'll see you in a minute. Okay, so the weather's turning a bit worse now. It's forecast heavy rain. So what you can see, if I get you a little bit closer, is all the grass is all the compost is sat on top of the grass. Now, if you give it a bit of a swish around with a brush, a broom, or the back of a rake, you see the compost works down in between those blades of grass. So that's the bit I've just done, and that's the bit I haven't done yet. So the bit that's been done, the bit that I haven't done. So the blades of grass are not smothered, and that's what we need to do. If you smother the grass, it can't see any sunlight and it struggles. So we've got to work it in. So you can use a brush or the back of a rake and just brush it around, or you can get yourself a lute depending on the size of your lawn. I'm going with the lute simply because it's just faster, and you literally just push and pull. You can just walk across and just drag it across, but if you want to go backwards and forwards you can. What I will say is any completely bare spots that's just bare soil, don't use this, just leave it, because it will drag the seeds. This is okay because it's knocking it in between the blades of grass and the seeds will stay locked in. So I'm just going to drag this up and down the lawn and then we'll come back to you. Right, all done. I could have used the roller, but with it being wet, the compost is actually going to stick to the roller. and I've proven it before that you don't always need to roller it in to get a good result. In a previous video I wasn't able to use the roller, so we just have to wait and see now. We finished off with some emerald green, which helps the seeds to germinate while putting nutrients and goodness into the lawn, and yeah, all good. So I'm going to be applying emerald green right through winter just to add nutrients in and just help improve things. It's just a case now of watering it in, which thankfully it's raining, so that's doing it for us. I'm going to put the fence back up, stop the dogs. The only problem with doing it in the wet weather is the mess. Now, you can see there, everything's just a mess. Yeah, we've got these muddy footprints everywhere. So I've got to get the hose pipe out and give this a bit of a clean. I'm going to clean the tools down as well. But sometimes you just can't help it. If you've got to get it done, you've got to get it done no matter what the weather. Obviously I wouldn't do it in really bad, wet, boggy conditions. But this is just like a light rain at the moment, but it is potentially going to get heavier. However, I have been running out of time and this is the only chance I've had to get this done. So we'll just watch this space with this. So I expect within the next 2 weeks, a lot of the grass will have come through, and that's what we're aiming for. So I will keep up with watering when it's not raining, especially in the areas where it's bare at the top. So if you've got any questions or comments, please leave them down below. I would appreciate a thumbs up. All you've got to do is press that thumbs up and subscribe if you are not a subscriber. It will help the algorithm to help our channel grow. And we all need those likes, we all need those subscriptions, and it all helps. So that is it, that's where we're up to. There'll be another video on the screen coming up anytime now, which you'll find interesting, relating to scarifying, aerating, any other aspect of lawn care. Please watch what I do. It will help you with your lawn. It is simple. It is simple. It's not a complicated thing, but if you do things in the right order, the more things you put into it, the better the outcome will be. Thanks for watching. Catch you on the next one. You look after your tools or look after you?